All right, now 1440. Here we go. All right, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Austin Ertham. Taylor is out on business again this week, so you're stuck with me. Welcome to the Kitchen Table Podcast. We're here to motivate, educate, and relate to you guys, sharing our stories, helping you to get 1% better in all areas of your life. Welcome to the 1440 this week. We got Ryan Dixon back with us again to talk about influencing decisions. We have got the kids motivated, and now we are trying to influence them in a positive direction, being the role model that mainly he is. I'm just kind of a backup guy. Ryan, thanks again for stopping by.
Absolutely, thanks for having me.
Okay, decision making. Let's just start right through the fire here. How do you motivate or influence a kid to make better decisions in the classroom? Right? First day of school again. Do you have a seating chart?
Yeah, to start the school year I do.
Okay, so what if they're not behaving in their seating chart?
For me personally, I always start with relationship building. I feel like, you want kids to behave well and you want them to make good decisions. So if they don't respect you, or if they think you're fake or whatever else is going on, then it's hard for them to buy into anything you're giving them. So I feel like at times some students have said that I'm chill, which I don't know if chill's a great word. I just feel like I'm understanding of kids. If they are acting out a little bit, half the time I ignore them. I don't give them the benefit of me getting wound up over it. But at the other token, usually I will have a separate conversation with them and just see what's going on. Like, why you acting up today? What's going on? Just trying to build relationships with the kids. I think that's the biggest thing with that.
Yeah, each kid's a little bit different. Some of those kids who are acting out, you don't give them attention, they're like, oh, yeah, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And other kids, if you don't give them attention or kind of have a backbone for them, then they just keep doing it, right?
Yeah.
So something that we talk about a lot is that decision making is a hard episode to talk about because there's no $1 million answer.
No.
Everybody has their own unique experiences. Everybody has a different makeup. Everybody has a different way about going about life. In your experience, first of all, maybe what are some good ways for you to make good decisions personally? Like, what are the steps?
I say, personally, I think you just got to stop and think. Like, literally, what's going on? What are we making decisions about? But, how's it going to affect me, but think beyond that. Don't think so selfishly. How's it going to affect my wife, my kids, my students, other teachers around us? I referee basketball, so I have a couple partners. Are my decisions going to influence them? So truly getting out of your own selfish ways and noticing how's it going to affect the group as a whole.
Mm-hmm. How does teamwork play a role in decisions?
It's huge. I mean, I always preach team first. Team over me is what I've heard a lot of that before too. And again, it's back to that. Take the selfishness out of it. How's the decision I'm making going to influence the whole team? So if I'm making a bad decision, how's that going to influence me? How's it going to reflect on our team? Just taking yourself out of the equation sometimes.
So those of you who are listening for the first time, a little bit of background. If you didn't catch last week's episode, Ryan he teaches with me. He's a lot better teacher than I am, and he also coaches. He's a freshman head football coach at our school and referees basketball, all that good stuff. A lot of the kids feel that he is one of the better mentors in the building. So if you needed some background, that's kind of who Ryan is. He played football UNI, and that's how we met. He's a little bit older than I am, though. That means more wise, hopefully.
More gray hair.
Yeah, that too. All right, so back to decision making. So teamwork plays a role. What if, on a professional level, you're refereeing basketball, let's say, since we're in basketball season, and one of the refs just isn't in the game today? How do you approach that? His decisions he's not making great calls.
Yep. I've definitely seen that. It's just sometimes you have to have the hard conversations with people. You think about taking yourself out of the equation and how are we looking as a whole. So we always say as us three officials, we're one team on the court.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we notice something that's going on, we'll come together as a group and just being honest with people. I don't think sugarcoating anything is going to help. Just say, hey, I'm seeing some of this. Maybe the coaches are saying this. Like, how can we clean this up a little bit? Or a lot of times you can take it off them and just say, hey, I'm seeing this going on in the post play. Let's take a look at this and let's make sure we're cleaning this up as a crew. So take it off of them. Don't go at and attack them and saying you're doing a terrible job. But more so, I think about last night even. My crew, we saw post play where guys were just banging around and beating each other up, and we all came together and just said, hey, let's take care of that. So,
goes back to one, the relationship building you talked about.
Yep.
That's most important, and then two, the team over me type of deal, and not even like singling whoever the ref is that's not doing their job or the student that's not doing their job, not singling them out,
right.
But taking it off them. Hey, how can we do this, right?
Yeah.
I think that it brings a lot more positivity, and they don't feel like you're attacking them, I assume.
Yep.
I know that kids definitely don't like to be attacked in front of that's embarrassing to be attacked in front of your peers. So I think that kind of talks about what you've been going with, which is good. Your daily decisions. Okay, so back to that referee who's not doing great. He could be not having a great night calling for whatever reason, right? A kid could have a bad day at school for whatever reason. What advice would you give to people who have a big goal in mind, but they don't make those daily decisions to reach that goal? How can you influence them to make better decisions daily so that in a month, a year, whatever they're trying to reach is a little more plausible?
Yeah, I always talk about, put it into real life. I mean, talk to kids about experiences that we've had. We got to play football with some amazing athletes.
Mm-hmm.
I always go back to David Johnson, and I tell kids all the time, like, they still kind of know who he is. And I said, do you think that guy got to where he was by just going through the steps every day? Like, he never went out and partied with anybody. He was in the gym all the time. Like, just trying to show them what it takes to be great. And I think, a lot of 14, 15-year-olds think they know what it takes, and we know that they don't. They think they're good, and I always say talent will get you so far, and you got to make those decisions daily to get in the weight room, do what you have to do, go to class. There's so much that goes into being successful that they're starting to learn, and I see it they start to figure it out as they get older, obviously. But yeah, just pushing them to make those decisions daily to be great.
I think another component of daily decisions is when they make a good decision, and obviously the coaching staff for you guys at football is probably praising them that they did something well, right?
Yeah.
And then they see that praise, or they see the likely result, right? Instead of just being like, for instance, playing the rival Dowling this year, first game was like a nail biter, and the second game was like a blowout, right?
Yep.
So to see that growth, I think, is what propels young people especially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Older people know that they had to put in the work, the effort. Like you said, kids don't really know it, right? They haven't experienced it or had to go through that work or the grind. So when they see that, they want to continuously make those good decisions. And on the flip side, there's a lot of what I would consider students this year who are in the red, right?
Yeah.
Behavior-wise. And there's always something, for instance, like an injury. There's always something that it's nagging you, but you don't tend to it, right? And all of a sudden, boom, it pops, or boom, the kid gets busted. Then it's like, oh, I need to turn my life around.
Yeah.
So I think that's another thing. On the flip side, something bad happens, and it's okay, now I got to get my life straight,
Right.
In your own personal life, what have been some bigger decisions? You said you think about things and all that kind of stuff, how it affects others. What are some times that you had to put that to the test in your life? Obviously now you share it with kids, that maybe has influenced the path you've gone down.
I think about going back to school. That was a big decision my wife and I had to make, and we knew we were going to have kids at some point. And so we, deciding I'm going to go back now before we have kids, get that done, and do it for this reason. So that way I have the degree ready down the road. So, and knowing that decision alone is going to compound to multiple decisions of, I got a class every Wednesday night, and I got football practice, and so that's affecting, coaches around me if I have to leave practice early.
Yeah.
And so just knowing how that one decision of I'm going to go back to school is going to compound and how it's going to affect everyone else, which comes back to, take it out yourself. Who else is going to affect besides me? And then communicating with everyone who is going to affect. Hey, this is a decision I'm going to make. This is what I'm going to do. Here's how we're going to work around it. So being able to communicate with everybody and get on the same page, because then you have your support system in place too. So,
So, a lot of things we talked about in season 1. You talked about communication, teamwork, decision making, how it might affect somebody else. Obviously, your motivation or impact on yourself and your wife, and even the football team. So, how does that work when you leave? Because I had to leave practice early my senior year of football to student teach. Well, I showed up late actually. I actually missed practice sometimes. It only worked because I was a specialist, right?
That's the only
no
way
meetings.
It works. Yeah.
But how did you communicate to Swenson or the other guys that says, hey, I guess you wouldn't be with Swenson, you'd be with like Mitchell and people.
I did talk to Swenson though, actually.
That's even better.
Yeah.
So you're just talking the whole program to be communicated with. How did you solve maybe those hiccups that are like, because when you're thinking about it, you're probably like, I got to do this, I got to make sure this is done, and it's a lot of weight on your shoulders to keep school going, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you face those decisions and go about talking to those people about your communication and what might happen?
So like you said, I always had to talk to the coaches that are currently on staff here at the freshman level, but Coach Swenson has always been a mentor of mine.
Yep.
I would say played for him and now coach with him, and he was one of the first I talked to, like, hey, I'm thinking about going back to school, like what do you think? This is gonna, like, can I do this and coach at the same time? And he ends up telling me the story, like he did the same thing. I mean, he got his master's in the same thing. I'm like, well, I'm just following you in the same footsteps, I guess. But it takes away some of that anxiety you might have about it, because you have someone that's way down the road of maybe where you want to be in life. Okay, well, you did it, and he went through the steps that he did, and it kind of helps you decide how you're going to go down, and maybe talk with some of the freshman coaches about what you're going to do. Hey, I got to leave practice early on Wednesdays because I have class. And so just being able to talk with them and to get them on board, and no problem.
So they cover for you essentially.
Yeah.
You got it all planned out ahead of time.
Yeah.
I think that's important, is planning ahead. And also how you said you talked to Coach Swenson. It's awesome to talk to people. Again, how you said he's where you want to be essentially. And to have a mentor to talk to, or maybe less biased than a family member or a close friend might be. Not that Swenson's not a close friend, but it's always good to listen and take advice from other people, and then it helps your decision making as well. Okay, so last question here as we're wrapping up. All that given, you got your degree, right?
Yep.
So what is the next step for Ryan Dixon? What are you weighing right now, the options for your life moving forward?
One of the biggest things I want to do now, we talked about officiating, is my guys I work with, our goal is to get to Wells Fargo one day and be able to ref the state tournament. And that takes time away from my family. It takes the effort to get into the rule book and make sure we're up to date and our mechanics are good. And so there's a lot of decisions that go into it that affect many people. And so when you think about goals and where we're trying to head, I know my wife and I talk a lot about the time that I have to sacrifice, and that she's got to stay home with our son and my parents who babysit. So there's just so many things that affect what's going on in that goal. But being able to, again, communicate and get on the same page, and don't spring stuff on people. Don't come out of the blue and say, hey, I'm leaving you tonight. I got a game. Like, you can't do that. So you got to make sure that we're all locked in step with each other.
Okay. Do you get to pick your is it a trio that you guys have?
Yeah, I got two other guys I work with, and we decided to group up. We work really well together.
Okay.
So
I didn't know if the state chose for you, or if you.
Well, they can at the state tournament. So we'll see if we get placed or not. But
nice. And then obviously having your parents in the area helps a lot. Makes maybe your decisions easier
immensely,
to make because you have a support system around you.
Yes.
Makes it a lot easier. So that's awesome. Though we have to have you on in, I guess 3 weeks.
I know.
see if you make it or not.
We'll see how far we get.
And it might take another year or so too. But that's those daily decisions, like you said, will play a role in that. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up there. We'll put the description and stuff in the links and all that good stuff for you down below, wherever you're listening. Otherwise, Ryan, thanks again for tuning in.
Absolutely, thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it. Feel free to comment, all that good stuff. Let us know if you guys want to know more about Ryan, and have him on again. And have a good rest of your week. Talk to you later. Bye.